자리에 착석 부탁드릴게요.
Hi, I'm Elisa Son, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the Translational Biobehavioral and Health Disparities Branch at NIH Clinical Center. The title of my presentation today is Digital Health Engagement in Individuals with Chronic Conditions. I have no conflicts of interest to disclose. Digital health refers to the use of information and communications technologies in medicine and other health sectors to manage illness and to promote wellness. The scope of digital health is very broad that includes categories such as wearable devices, telehealth and telemedicine, medical social media, digital health record, and decision support system. Digital health offers opportunities to improve health outcomes by supporting care providers' clinical decisions and giving consumers more control over their health and make better informed decisions. As you can see, the number of scientific publications in digital health has been growing rapidly. A significant portion of the research work focuses on healthcare science, public health, and medical informatics. The U.S. government regularly administers national-level surveys to examine trends in digital Hi, I'm Elisa Son, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the Translational Biobehavioral and Health Disparities Branch at NIH Clinical Center. The title of my presentation today is Digital Health Engagement in Individuals with Chronic Conditions. I have no conflicts of interest to disclose. Digital health refers to the use of information and communications technologies in medicine and other health sectors to manage illness and to promote wellness. The scope of digital health is very broad that includes categories such as wearable devices, telehealth and telemedicines, medical social media, digital health record, and decision support system. Digital health offers opportunities to improve health outcomes by supporting care providers' clinical decisions and giving consumers more control over their health and make better informed decisions. As you can see, the number of scientific publications in digital health has been growing rapidly. A significant portion of the research work focuses on healthcare science, public health, and medical informatics. The US government regularly administers national level surveys to examine trends in digital health. The Health Information National Trend Survey, in short HINTS, by the National Cancer Institute, collects nationally representative data every few years about the US public's need for, access to, and use of health-related information, behaviors, perceptions, and knowledge. The survey includes a variety of digital health-related questions, for example, use of electronic means for healthcare, wearable device, medical social media, and telehealth experience. The CDC also conducts a national level survey called the National Health Interview Survey and collects data on internet access and telehealth. Starting my research journey in the US since 2016, I have been focusing on consumers' use of health information technologies and its impact on their health outcomes. With the guidance from Dr. Eunsim Lam, who was my research mentor during PhD program, I involved in studies that developed and tested online research programs for older adults and cancer survivors. As I progressed to the current postdoctoral program, research scope has expanded to cancer caregiving and use of emerging technologies like virtual reality. I will present my research progression focusing on digital health engagement in individuals with chronic conditions. Starting from patient portal, e-health, and cancer survivors related studies. This is R21 study testing a 3-week theory-based patient portal e-learning program. Patient portal is a website or mobile application that patients can access to view their health visit notes, medical test results, send messages to care providers, and even pay a bill. As there is a digital divide among age groups, this study targeted older adults with chronic conditions and tested the effects of the online learning program on their self-efficacy and use of patient portals. This was an online learning program and also can be accessed mobile device. The modules were provided weekly, and each weekly module consists of subtopics including how to use each function in patient portal program. This is another pilot project for cancer survivors who finished their cancer treatment with curative intent. We developed an online resource program titled Cancer Survivorship Patient Engagement Toolkit and assessed its effect on multiple patient-reported outcomes with one group pre- and post-test design. The study found that there were significant changes in health-related quality of life and symptom burden at 3 months. The online research program had bi-weekly sessions that can support smooth transition to survivorship. Study participants were able to access these online resources and share their experience using online discussion board. The link to each biweekly session was provided using patient portal e-message function. Involving in these intervention studies led me to this online survey study that examined adult patients' comprehensive experience of using patient portal across care settings. We invited adult patients to this cross-sectional survey via patient portal e-message function. We tested the impact of perceived usability that includes ease of use and usefulness, self-efficacy, and privacy concerns on patient portal use by performing a structural equation modeling based on a modified technology acceptance model. We found direct impact of self-efficacy and privacy concerns and indirect impact of perceived usability, e-health literacy, education, and age on patient portal use. This figure is the final model presenting significant path among the variables. I joined the current team, which is the Biobehavioral Outcomes in Cancer and Caregiving Unit in TBHG branch at NIH Clinical Center. I have been more involving in cancer caregiving research. Our team's main interest is improving cancer caregivers' stress and symptoms through innovative interventions, leveraging technologies. I will introduce some of the work that I have contributed. This study tested a 6-week yoga-based stress reduction intervention in family caregivers of adults who received allogeneic hematopoietic stem cell transplantation using RCT design. Participants were provided a 20-minute audio file that gives instructions on stretching, breathing, and relaxation. The impact on perceived stress and symptoms and cardiometabolic biomarkers were assessed. We found significant interaction effects between group and time in large TRLP, which is triglyceride-rich lipoprotein particle, and LPIR, which is lipoprotein insulin resistance. While there were no group differences in perceived stress and symptoms. This means that the intervention may be protective against early changes in cardiometabolic risk in cancer caregivers. This is a cross-sectional data analysis of survey data on cancer caregivers' health-promoting behaviors. Latent class profile analysis was conducted to identify patterns of health-promoting behaviors, and multinomial logistic regression was used to determine factors associated with latent classes. We found 3 classes: caregivers practicing a high level, moderate level, and low level of health-promoting behaviors. Factors associated with the class membership were caregiver burden due to lack of family support, perceived stress, self-efficacy, and body mass index. Based on findings from previous studies, we developed a four-week nature-based virtual reality intervention to relieve stress and associated symptoms in transplant caregivers. We will provide 360-degree videos of nature scenes with nature sounds through VR headset. Participants will be instructed to use the program 20 minutes daily for 4 weeks. Feasibility, acceptability, and effects on stress, symptoms, and biomarkers will be assessed. We are currently developing the protocol and finalizing the protocol, and we expect we launch this study early next year. And we submitted our protocol manuscript, and it's currently under review. In addition to the team's projects, I also did some independent analysis using National Cancer Institute's HINTS dataset. I identified subgroups of caregivers sharing similar patterns of digital health engagement behaviors. And the figure is the conceptual framework that I adopted from the technology-enabled caregiving in the home framework. There were 2 classes among the caregivers. Class 1, caregivers on average more active in digital health engagement behaviors, and Class 2, caregivers on average less active in digital health engagement behaviors. As you can see in the table, education level and digital device ownership were associated with the identified class membership. As I look through my research from my PhD program and my current postdoctoral fellow program, I could find some trends in my research in digital health. Because technology evolves and environment surrounding us changes, such changes will be reflected in digital health research. Before wrapping up, I would like to share a few things to consider in digital health. Reimbursement can be always an issue as clinicians cannot use digital health technologies without relevant policy. And technologies should be clinically more validated, like drugs that we use in terms of efficacy and safety. Interoperability also matters for effective communications between different digital health systems. Ensuring privacy and security and maintaining trust in healthcare providers must be considered to protect sensitive patient information and prevent transmission of misinformation in these days. This was my presentation, and thank you for your attention, and I will answer your questions. Thank you so much.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Keimyung Universities for hosting this 30th International Nursing Conference. I would also like to thank Professor Kim's and also the organizers for having me to join these important events. It's my great honor to share with you some of our work in promoting palliative care and end-of-life care in Hong Kong. So actually, my background is in aged care and chronic disease management. So I would like to start with a case sharing. Here we have an 80-year-old lady with advanced heart failures. So one day she became comatose. The doctor asked her two children whether CPR should be performed in case of cardiac arrest. The sons believe that it is their filial duties to maintain their mother's life as long as possible. But the daughter, who is the primary caregiver, thought that their mother would prefer comfort care in the last phase of life. So they could not reach a consensus on the treatment decisions. These kind of dilemmas happens a lot in our clinical settings. So here I would like to bring up a concept called palliative care approach. It is not only for people with cancer, but actually for all patients with life-threatening illness and also their family members. In the diagram, you can see that the concept of palliative care should be introduced as soon as possible, and it can be provided in parallel with the curative care, because the care outcome of palliative care is not only on physical aspect. We also pay attention to the concerns in psychological, social, and spiritual domains. But in our society, there is a lot of misunderstanding. Not many people are aware of the concepts, including policymakers and health professionals. So that's why there are some cultural and social barriers. For example, in Chinese community, it is quite unusual and uncomfortable to openly discuss death and dying issues. Some people may even misunderstood palliative care as the euthanasia. That means hastening the dying process. But if we take a look on these diagrams illustrating the illness trajectories, we can see that not only people dying with cancer, that is the first diagram, experience fluctuations in their psycho-spiritual aspects. Even for people dying with organ failures or people with frailties, they experience deteriorations in different aspects. So palliative care and end-of-life care should be everyone's business. It should be provided to all patients with chronic conditions, and it should be accessible to all of them. So the WHO has also released a report in 2021 talking about a set of actionable indicators for developing palliative care. So here we can see that palliative care can be introduced into the primary care setting as well. For example, it can be included in the chronic disease management like COPD, like cardiology, like heart failure in the case scenario we just discussed. And then because we can foresee there will be a very huge care demand, we cannot only rely on the palliative care specialists. Only for those who with intense palliative care needs need to be transferred to specialist service. So in Hong Kong, we have also adopted this model. So over the past 5 to 6 years, in Hong Kong, we have received a very sizable donation from the Jockey Club Charities Trust to promote palliative care and end-of-life care in the communities. We engage not only the health and social care professional on the top of the triangle here, we also engage different stakeholders, different NGOs, partners, including care home as well. We also provide training to the volunteers and public educations to the general public so that more people will understand these concepts. So we are performing quite well according to the recent Quality of Death and Dying Index. So Hong Kong ranked number 9 in the list. We can see that Republic of Korea actually performed even better. So you're within the top 6. So when we talk about palliative care and end-of-life care, I would especially highlight the concept advanced care planning, because this is a communication process for the persons to express their views towards end-of-life care. In the case scenario we just talked about, the old lady did not have a chance to express her wish towards the end of life care. So it is very important to start with ACP so that the people are being empowered to express their views. This concept actually comes from US cultures, so it highlights the concept of respecting autonomy. My research work also starts with promoting advanced care planning. So this is the program I developed nearly 20 years ago called the Let Me Talk, so that we highlight the concept enabling the older people to express their views. So let them to express their views. This is the first published ACP program in Asia cultures. But throughout these years, we also learned from our experience that autonomy is expressed in different ways in Asia cultures. In Asia culture, we honors relational autonomy. That means a person cannot make wishes or decisions just based on their own personal values. I have also collaborated with other researchers in other Asian countries, including Dr. Kim, a palliative care specialist in Korea. So in one of the articles, she shared with us that ACP has been legally recognized in South Korea, but more research is still needed based on the clinical experience, because in our culture, we highlight and respect the discussions among the individuals, family, and also other closely related people. So that means we need to conduct advanced care planning in a bit different way when we compare with these Western cultures. So in our work, we also have this kind of shift. For example, later on when we conduct the advanced care planning, we also engage the family members, just like the paper we publish here. We include patient and also family members in the discussions. And we also try to test out the model in other cities in China, and it is quite well received. Apart from the conversation process, we also develop different tools to facilitate the conversation, because not many people are well understanding about the treatments available in the end of life care. So we develop different video decision aid, or some decision aid specific for certain diseases like dementia, COPD, or renal failures. So we have shared some of our work in the publications. So if you're interested, just let me know. I can also share this article with you. Apart from these tools, we find that some of the health and social care staff are not very confident in initiating the discussions. So we provide trainings to them, including the health professional group like nurses, doctors, social workers, but also we provide training to frontline staff like personal care workers, because they are heavily involved in the care of the patients. So their role are very important as well. So during the training, we develop a structured conversation guide. This concept also comes from the US culture, because they have developed the serious illness conversation guide, and also they have a respecting choice. So after receiving this kind of training, I try to modify it to our Asia cultures. Also, we have some role play, just like the photo showing here. The trainee have the chance to practice with some trained simulators, some older people being trained as the actors, so they can practice in a safe environment. So we actually found that training experience is highly related to the readiness of health professionals for providing advanced care planning. So after that, we try to integrate palliative care and end-of-life care into care home settings. Apart from looking at the staff perceived knowledge and skills, we also look at the willingness to provide palliative care in their care settings, and also their resilience, whether they can cope with the stressful and emotional draining situation, because this is a paradigm shift. In the past, the care homes only need to provide chronic disease management or some personal cares, but now they also are involved in palliative care. So this is very important, and we have developed tools for assessment. Recently, we have also received email from a researcher in Korea asking whether she can translate these two into Korean language. So we are working together in promoting this. We also have conducted nationwide studies to look at the key components for delivering palliative care and end-of-life care in care home settings. So we found that apart from policy and infrastructures or training educations, there are some other important components to be incorporated too. For example, assessment of symptoms, strategies for symptom management to be used in care home settings, communication between different parties like patients, families, and even between the care homes and hospitals. The care for dying residents is also very important because this is a kind of new care service in care home settings. And then family support and even bereavement care is very important to be included if we want to promote palliative care and end-of-life care in care home settings. But still, with all these capacity buildings, we still find that some old people or some people with chronic disease are not ready to discuss about end-of-life care issues openly. So a group of people, they are adopting avoidance approach, or they try to defer the decisions to later time or to other people like doctors or their family members. So we should highlight that advanced care planning should not only for those who are well prepared, but also for these two groups who are not yet very ready for the discussions. So we try to collaborate with different teams and different stakeholders. We expand our work from hospitals, OH home to community service. We collaborate with different NGOs. From these photos, you can see we also provide public talk to different religious groups, including Buddhists, including Catholics. And we also try to build some new collaboration with other disciplines, for example, medical doctors, lawyers, so that we can facilitate people to document their end-of-life care wish in advance directive. Just rely on public talk is not very cost-effective. So we also develop an e-learning platforms to promote the concept. So as long as people are interested in the topic, they can search information online, and then they can learn about the concept of palliative care and end-of-life care options through our e-learning platform. We use the sky lantern as a metaphor. So sky lantern in our Chinese cultures traditionally is a way for us to make a wish or convey message. So now we also use it because we believe advanced care planning is also a strategies or a ways for people to express their wish towards end-of-life care. So there are some interactive activities in the platform for them to play around and learn about these new concepts. They can also clarify their values through some reflective exercise. So talking about death and dying issue can be very sensitive and emotional. So we try to think about some innovative way to introduce the concept. For example, we could design a board game with different stakeholders, including older people. And recently we developed this board game called the 5 Tastes in a grocery store. So it mimics people who go into a grocery store and then they need to answer different questions. So different tastes represent different types of questions commonly used in advanced care planning. So we engage different older people sitting together and then share their views towards end-of-life care. We have a trained facilitators to guide the board game and provide some debriefing to them. So we have just finished research studies evaluating these novel strategies, and then the comments are quite positive. And recently, we have also tried to use it in other Chinese community in other countries like the Netherlands. So this is a more relaxing way to introduce advanced care planning in the communities. So finally, we've seen that if we want to translate our palliative care and end-of-life care research into sustainable practice, we need to promote the concept as early as possible so that to improve the awareness, not only among the public, but also the professionals. We need to collaborate with different sectors, different disciplines to facilitate this kind of conversation in the communities. And finally, we also need to engage different stakeholders, not only professionals, but also public. For example, we include them in our intervention developments. We try to engage them. And finally, hopefully, we can empower them to express their views, share their wish with their close, significant others. So thank you for letting me to share our works. I look forward to receiving your comment and questions. Actually, next year, our school will also host a cancer care nursing symposiums and also a genomics and genetic nursing forum. We are still receiving abstracts. So I welcome you all to consider sending us abstract and then come over to Hong Kong to visit us. Hopefully we can have a face-to-face meeting in the coming days. Thank you.
and especially in Hong Kong. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the questions. So
I repeat again my question.
yeah,
How
thank
to
you.
overcome cultural and then societal barriers in the palliative care, and especially in Hong Kong? Thank you.
Not only in Chinese culture, but also in Korea, people are more talking about death and dying. And even I think in US, maybe some of the speakers can also share their views. Rather than just focusing on death and dying issues, usually we will say we are helping them to improve the quality of life. So this is the patient concern and also the family members' concerns. So just like in the example I shared with the audience here, we use board game, we use some websites. You see, we use very colorful themes to illustrate that how they can live well. So rather than just focus on end of life care, whether we should perform CPR or not, this may not be their focus. So we try to start the conversation based on their needs and concerns. Yeah. Thank you.
충분한 답변이었을까요? 네. 그러면 다음은 손효진 교수님, 손효진 박사님께 질문이 있으신 청자분께서는 손을 들어 표해 주시기 바랍니다. 온라인으로도 채팅을 남겨주셔도 됩니다. 네, 마이크 전달 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 계명대학교 석사과정에 있는 정동원이라고 질문 감사드리고요. 한국어로 하겠습니다. 네, 좋은 질문 주셔서 감사드리고, 물론 일반적으로 그런 경향이 있지만, 최근 연구들은 이제 고령층을 대상으로 연구들이 활발하게 진행되고 있는데, 특히 이제 국가차원 설문조사 분석, 아까 제가 발표 때 소개해드렸던 그런 국가차원 설문조사의 분석에 따르면, 이제 인터넷을 이제 사용할 줄 알고, 그런 노인들의 경우에는 이런 뭐 환자 포털이라든지 온라인 건강 정보를 접근하는 데 있어서 젊은 세대와 그런 시그니피컨트한 유의한 차이가 없는 걸로도 분석 결과가 나타나고 있고, 그래서 오히려 만성질환을 관리하는 기준이 높으신 노인들이 이런 디지털 헬스로 인한 혜택을 가장 이제 많이 받을 수 있는 연령 책임을 이제 강조하는 연구들이 많이 진행이 되고 있어요. 그래서 이런 오히려 그런 이용 의도를 높이기 위해서는 얼마나 베네피셜한지를 이런 연구들을 통해서 또 이제 헬스케어 프로바이더나 노인층을 이제 대하는 쪽에서 이제 홍보가 잘 돼야 될 것 같고요. 그런 근거들에 의해서 베네핏이 많다는 것을 홍보를 잘 해야 하는 것이 중요할 것 같고, 이제 시력이나 청력의 문제가 그런 있을 수가 있는데, 또 디지털 리터러시랑 기술 사용, 이제 자기 효능감, 셀프 에피커시가 낮으신 분들, 혹은 또 그런 통신 자원이 상대적으로 부족한 이제 교외 지역에 계신 분들이 이러한 혜택에서 소외를 받지 않도록 여러 이해관계자들의 노력이 필요한데, 이제 그런 프로그램을 설계할 때부터 이제 노인층의 대상을 고려한 디자인이 이렇게 반영이 되어야 되고, 또 노인분들뿐만 아니라 이제 그들의 케어기버에게도 함께 교육이 제공이 되는 게 중요할 것 같고요. 또 이제 아무리 이제 디지털 헬스가 활발하게 이용이 되고 있다고 하지만 이제 대면으로 하는 방식의 의료 서비스도 계속 지속해서 이용하실 수 있도록 그러한 선택지들도 함께 제공이 되어야 됩니다. 답변이 되었을까요?
네, 답변 감사드리고 질문 한 가지가 더 있는데 만성질환자 건강관리 등의 의료 현장에서 디지털 헬스가 도입되면은 의료진 입장에서는 디지털기 사용법에 대한 설명 등의 업무가 추가된다는 관점도 있고 또 한편으로는 일자리가 축소된다는 관점도 있습니다. 의료진의 업무 효율성과 전문성, 방향성 측면에서 나아갈 측면이 어떤 것이 있을지 마지막으로 질문드리고 싶습니다.
네, 굉장히 실제적인 질문이라고 생각이 드는데요. 의료 현장에서 디지털 헬스의 도입은 사실 이미 거스를 수 없는 흐름이라서 이거를 아예 배제를 할 수는 없을 것 같고요. 이제 실제 의료 업무에 기술을 사용하기 위한 그런 기술의 도입이 아니라 실제 의료 업무에 도움이 될 수 있는 방향과 또 속도로 접목이 되어야 할 것 같습니다. 너무 디지털 헬스라는 게 너무 광범위한 개념이라서 제가 여기서 다 설명을 할 수는 없지만, 예를 들어서 이제 병원에 가보시면 실시간으로 생성되는 환자들의 데이터가 굉장히 많잖아요. 근데 그걸 그냥 두는 것보다는 뭐 AI 기술이나 머신러닝 기술을 통해서 이런 데이터를 충분히 우리가 활용을 해서 그것이 의료진이 의사결정하는 데 도움이 되게끔 바꿀 수 있고, 또 그렇게 요새는 많이 또 활용이 되고 있는 걸로 알고 있고요. 그래서 이제 그런 디지털 기기를 도입하는 것과 같은 거는 또 병원이 활용을 할 때 얼마나 비용 효과적인지를 살펴봐야 할 것 같고, 또 환자 입장에서는 이제 실제적으로 어느 정도 그런 보험에서 커버를 할 수 있는지 그런 면도 따져봐야 되고, 또 의료진의 업무 효율성을 위해서는 필요할 것 같은데 저희는 이제 연구자들이니까 우리가 할 것은 이런 디지털 헬스의 효과성이나 안전성, 뭐 이런 코스트 이펙티브니스 이런 것들에 대한 연구를 계속 수행을 해서 이런 뭐 폴리시 메이커나 레귤레이션을 만드는 여러 분들이 판단할 수 있는 근거를 생성하는 것이 저희가 해야 할 역할인 것 같습니다. 답변이 되었으면 좋겠네요.
네. 질문과 답변 전자분들께도 감사드리겠습니다. 네, 시간 관계상 질문은 여기서 마치도록 하고요. 잠시 5분 정도 휴식 시간을 갖고 10시 50분에 다시 세 번째 세션, 네 번째 세션 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 두 연자도 고생 많으셨습니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
5분은 짧은 시간이죠. 네, 저희가 4개 연장을 동시에 진행하자니 집중도라든지 준비사항들이 좀 부드럽게 하기 위해서 중간에 5분간의 인터미션을 두었습니다. 자, 그럼 다시 자리에 착석을 해주시고요. 세 번째 강의는 전상춘 박사님의 Understanding Metrics of Respective Rhythms to Predict Sleep Characteristics, Daytime Symptoms, and Functional Performance라는 주제입니다. 전상순 박사님은 미시간 주립대학에서 통계학과 역학을 전공하신 생물통계학자이십니다. 현재 미국 예일대학교에서 시니어 리서치 사이언티스트로 활동 중이십니다. 그럼 전상순 박사님의 강연을 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 강의
I'm glad to be here to speak at International Nursing Conference at Keimyung University. I was trained in statistics for bachelor and master degree and completed my PhD in epidemiology and biostatistics. Since 2008, right after completing my PhD program, I have worked at Yale School of Nursing and collaborated with nursing researchers for more than 20 granted studies in sleep, diabetes, cancer, and cardiac disease. My primary role at YSN is to collaborate with nursing faculty to develop grant proposal and to perform data analysis and to write manuscripts. Also, I provided statistical advice and mentorships to postdocs and graduate students for their research and dissertations. Today, I'd like to share my research experience as a biostatistician for more than 14 years and to speak how successful communication with statisticians produce much better output than we expect. The title, Understanding Metrics of Respective Rhythms to Predict Sleep Characteristics, Daytime Symptom and Functional Performance will demonstrate how successful communication and research ideas are integrated to produce new research approaches and develop new research ideas. You may need to communicate with statisticians at these 4 stages. When developing research questions, you will need statistical advice for study design, sampling, and also want to determine sample size and analytical plan from statisticians. During data collection, you may not frequently contact with statisticians, but if you conduct a clinical trial, you probably need to ask monitoring sampling process and performing interim analysis to determine if data collection should be continued or stopped. Most of you may start thinking at hypothesis test stages, or I need statisticians to perform the primary data analysis, interpretation of the results, and manuscript review. You may already understand the role of statisticians at these 3 stages, but may not focus on secondary analysis phases. I frequently met researchers brought their collected data without explaining study design, any study background, and just asking me to run regression model, cluster analysis, or statistical analysis. If you just approach statistician to get a statistical service, you may miss the potential opportunity to get more valuable information from your data. The raw data you collected may include much more information than you initially intended. You could run better research ideas by approaching them as collaborator, but not as service provider. If you collected the massive data from the wearable device you researches, you could have more benefit from the secondary analysis. There are many studies, recently there are many studies using a wearable device in health researches. A wearable device collecting visualized real-time data with minimizing disturbance in daily sleep behavior, activity, light exposure, noise level, temperature. The device provides an objective measure of a specific variable you are interested in, but also generating additional health information than you never intended before. Refined message data could generate valuable information by using advanced statistical approaches such as machine learning, regression modeling, cluster analysis. Today, I'd like to demonstrate my episode how we extract more valuable information from the wearable device in the secondary analysis. Dr. Radek have conducted this program for 20 years. We had the first met in 2008 when I joined the YSM. She had conducted an observational study for insomnia and sleep disturbance in people with chronic heart failure. She already completed data collections and published the main paper for her primary aims to assess sleep outcomes. She collected sleep data from self-report, as well as objective data from activity, which is a wearable device to produce a sleep variable based on activity count. So we met together to discuss about secondary analysis with activity data, and she wanted to assess the circadian rhythm in chronic heart failure patients. Circadian rhythm is a cycle from internal body clock and associated with melatonin secretions. But she didn't collect the data for circadian rhythm. But instead, we tried to find a way of measuring activity cycle as a proxy of the circadian rhythm. Activity is the commonly used wearable device to collect the objective sleep measure and activity count. The device calculates sleep metrics such as sleep durations, efficiency, and latency, time in bed, based on activity count using their own algorithms. This graph actually produced from ActiveRapid, the blue shade representing sleep period, and black spike there representing activity count. If you look at the daytime activity patterns, they're actually different across the day. They might be different by individuals. So beside of sleep metrics, daily activity pattern could be important to measure of evaluating individual daily behavior. At the secondary meeting, Dr. Rediker brought her older paper in 2004. She observed the activity pattern in heart failure patients after cardiac surgery. She actually visually observed circadian rest activity patterns over time, but she had no idea how to measure this kind of pattern. She just showing visually this pattern changes. So she asked me to find a matrix of rest activity rhythm using her data. So these two graphs demonstrating extremely two different type of rest activity rhythm between two individuals. Left side individual, they might have a great daytime activity and good sleep continuity and long and consistent sleep time with a strong rhythmistic. Right side, this individual may have a rest daytime activity and poor sleep continuity and short and inconsistent sleep time with weak rhythmicity. So instead of visual comparisons, we wanted to find the interpretable metric to assess the rest activity rhythm. The first option of a metric could be obtained cosine analysis, which regresses the activity wave across the 24-hour cycles. The cosine analysis produced the average activity count, which is measured, the amplitude of the wave, and the shift of rhythmicity, which is acrophase. Using linear regression model approaches, we estimated those three parameters and calculated a circadian quotient to measure the strength of rhythmicity. The other metrics are interdaily stability and intradaily variability using these two equations. The interdaily stability measure the consistency of rest activity rhythm between consecutive days. This metric is scored ranged from 0 to 1. 1 represents perfect consistent rest activity rhythm across days. The intradaily variability measures the variability of rest activity rhythms within days. This metric shows how the rest activity count is stick with 24-hour cycles. If the daily activity count perfectly stick with the 24-hour cycle, the score will close to 0. But if there is a poor rest activity rhythm, the score will close to 2 or higher. Using those metrics, we could describe those 4 different types of rest activity patterns. Case 1 has poor rest activity patterns and very low score over circadian quotient of 0.26 from cosine analysis, and lower interdaily stability and high intradaily variability. Case 3 and 4 have very good rhythmicity and both have high circadian quotient score with high interdaily stability and low intradaily variability. With those metrics, we conduct secondary analysis for the observational study and successfully demonstrate the association between circadian rhythm, daytime symptom, and functional performance. The participant with the strong circadian rhythm is associated with less fatigue, less sleepiness, less depression, also have a greater functional performance. Intradaily stability and intradaily variability also has a significant correlation with the daytime symptom and functional performance. Our finding from secondary analysis with the rest activity rhythm could be implemented to develop a new research hypothesis. We granted for clinical trial of insomnia for people with stable heart failure and clinical insomnia. We included our findings with the rest activity rhythm in the proposal to assess longitudinal association in heart failure patients receiving interventions. The longitudinal study collected sleep and rest activity rhythm data from actigraphy with daytime sleep, daytime symptoms, functional performance, and cognitive function over 12 months of follow-up. From the clinical trial study, we also found the strength of rest activity rhythm could predict risk of hospitalizations and emergency visits. We conducted survival analysis with the Cox proportion hazard model to identify risk factor of hospitalizations. The participants with a strong and consistent rest activity rhythm at baseline had less risk of those adverse events with a longer time to event. The effects were still significant after adjusting for insomnia and daytime symptom and known risk factor of hospitalizations. We used the metrics of rest activity rhythm to construct sleep health phenotypes. With the rest activity rhythms metrics, insomnia as a sleep variable, we identified the 4 phenotypes of sleep health from Keimyung cluster analysis. The rest activity rhythm could be a key factor to classifying sleep health phenotypes. If you see the cluster 4 with the blue line in the spiderweb graph, they had a strong rest activity rhythm and very good sleep outcomes. On the other hand, the cluster 3 with the green line also had a strong rest activity rhythm, but they had poor sleep quality and efficiency. Other two phenotypes had a weak rest activity rhythm and had different level of sleep outcomes. Those phenotypes may predict fatigue, depression, stress, as well as cognitive function over time. We found the associations were significant after controlling for demographic information such as age, BMI, and comorbid conditions. From the collaboration for secondary analysis, we developed a new research idea and implemented it for next study. During 15 years at YSN, this strong collaboration with nursing researchers made me to contribute more than 100 publications, including 10 publications with the first and senior authorship. The message I'd like to give you today is to maximize the utilization of your data and enrich your output. Please do not restrict statisticians as service provider, but work with them as collaborator. Thanks for hearing my presentation today.
교육에 관련해서 시드니 너싱 스쿨, 너싱 글로벌 시티즌스 인 헬스 앤 웰빙에 대한 강의가 되겠습니다. 네, 강의 부탁드리겠습니다.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for asking me to participate in your conference, and I'm delighted to do so. I hope it's been a great day so far, and I hope that the rest of the day is a huge success also. My name is Professor Brendan McCormack, and I'm the Susan Wakel Chair in Nursing and Head of the Susan Wakel School of Nursing and Midwifery and Dean in the Faculty of Medicine and Health at Sydney University. And it's my pleasure to talk to you today about the work that we are doing here at Sydney Nursing School in nurturing global citizens in health and well-being, focusing particularly on our student population and what we are doing there. Just a little bit about Sydney Nursing School. We are currently the #1 nursing school in Australia, and we are number 13 in the world in the QS rankings. And most recently, we have been placed at number 7 in the world in the Shanghai ranking, which is a global ranking for academic subjects with a particular focus on research. And we are very excited about that ranking and our place in the world, particularly because of our focus on research and our intention of having global impact, which I will come back to in a little bit later. Like many nursing schools, I guess, Sydney Nursing School has an almost complete employment rate among our graduates, and all our graduates who want to get jobs either here in Australia or internationally, and their program enables them to be able to be employed internationally. We have a lot of clinical placements that we partner with, and we also have a large number of higher degree students, mostly doctoral candidates, which currently numbers at around 73. And our faculty number around 100, 111 at any one time. So I hope that gives you a little bit of context of the kind of school that we are, and I hope that it shows you how ambitious we are about the school and the program of work that we have in place. It has been my pleasure to be Head of School and Dean of Sydney Nursing School for almost 2 years now, so I'm still relatively new as the Dean here at Sydney. And prior to that, I was in a university in Edinburgh in Scotland. And since I've come here, I have been focusing on how we deal with a future agenda that nursing needs to take on board. And how do I lead the school in doing that and create a culture that has us very much focused on a global agenda and having high impact. For the first year of my tenure here as Dean, I very much focused on doing work collaboratively with all of the faculty and our other stakeholders to get a perspective on what was important to everyone involved, and especially our student population who I engaged with for a long period of time. As a consequence of that work, we developed a vision, but also a strategic action plan set within the overall faculty strategy that would help us to achieve that vision and also help us to be effective in our role. And what I want to do for the remainder of this presentation is present to you the vision and the parts of the strategic action plan, but also how that is underpinned by a clear set of values that we try to operationalize in all our work. And as I move along, I will hopefully provide some examples that may be of interest to you. And if you are interested in following up any of those, I'm happy to talk to you afterwards. If you email me, then I'm happy to engage. So the vision that we have developed collaboratively and inclusively among all academic staff, professional staff, and our other stakeholders, as I said, especially students, is that we are striving to be the school of choice to nurture global citizens in health and well-being. Our focus is very much on being a school that has globalization at the heart of our thinking, and thinking about that especially in the way that we produce knowledge that has got global significance, and that the research that we engage in also has global significance. It is important to say at the outset that as a School of Nursing, we don't just have nursing students in it or just engage in nursing specific research. We also have nutrition and dietetics as a field of study within our programs, and we also have a large rural and remote program with a very much focus on primary care and indigenous health. Our faculty are nurses, but also health service researchers and psychologists with other specialties around statistics and qualitative research as well. So we are quite a diverse school, and we believe very strongly that building on that diversity helps us to really advance that globalization agenda and connect with the world in the work that we're engaged in. But our focus is really that we think globally, but act locally. And what I mean by that is that as a School of Nursing, we do wish to have a very strong presence and a footprint in our local communities here in Sydney. The Sydney University campus is in the heart of the city, and so there are very strong connections with local populations that are quite diverse and has got quite a diverse range of deprivation as well as wealth in this part of the city. So we want to be really part of that local community, and we have several projects that we are engaged in that are in partnership with that local community. One of them is a community nutrition project where our students work with local communities who are homeless or living in social housing to help them achieve a more healthy diet. But when we're doing that, to also do some health assessment that we can help to support them to get some interventions should they need it. So we are striving for excellence in this space, and our global rankings really help us to achieve that and to kind of really engage in partnership with the community that we are connected with here. Underpinned by this idea of thinking globally and acting locally is that we are trying and will strive to always be within a transdisciplinary context and therefore having transdisciplinary impact. So we are focused on not just having an impact within nursing and nursing practice, but within the broader health ecosystem that we are engaged in. We, as I've already suggested, have quite a degree of diversity within our team, and we see that as a real strength in enhancing the position of nursing within the global health arena, which helps us to demonstrate accountability, both in terms of the accountability for engaging with our populations, but also the social accountability that we have as a school to do the right thing by the populations we serve. So our vision, as I've said, is to be global citizens in health and well-being, and that is our real focus. And in doing that, we have unpicked all of our programs of work to ensure that we are situating that vision within everything we do. And here you will see our vision kind of broken down into fairly typical areas of activity that most academic schools would be focused on. So our work and culture, which is the culture of our school and how we are together as persons. The education excellence that we are striving for in terms of how we educate our students and the people we connect with, the impact of our research globally, our local and global connections, and we have a program of work to really advance our global connections, and of course really focusing on student experience and how that student experience plays out and is lived by our student population on a day-by-day basis. But having a vision is one thing. But one of the things that we have really also focused on is saying, what are the values that we need as a community to represent the movement towards that vision? And what are the commitments that we make to each other to help us to achieve that vision? And we did a lot of work in terms of understanding both our values and our commitments that we engage in as a population to address these global agendas and to have global impact. It is very much focused on equality and inclusion in the relationships that we have within the school and with our colleagues that we connect with. We are highly committed to a culture of equality and of inclusion and of non-racism in everything that we do. We are focused on being collaborative in our learning and our research and in our scholarship and building strong and enduring collaborative relationships. We have set ambitious goals to ensure that we can achieve our vision, and that is the essence of how we hold each other accountable for achieving that vision, not just me as head of school and dean, but the whole of the leadership team and all of our community, that we are collectively accountable for achieving that vision. We want to develop a flourishing school community, and we've lots of activity going on to do that. And as I said, ultimately, what we want is that our students make a positive impact on the health and well-being of the populations that they serve. Underpinning that, we have identified a range of values that we work with every day. And these values aren't just something we've written on paper, but we use them in our decision making. As a leadership team, we use them to reflect on how effective are we being as leaders. In our education programs, we use them to identify with our students if we are living up to these values. And in our everyday relationships, we use them to remind each other of how we are wanting to relate to each other and in our ways of being and doing. So as I said, these are the values that we are working with. So our first value is to be diverse and equitable, and fundamentally we are committed to valuing everybody, irrespective of gender, sexuality, race. We will value everyone who is in our community. We are committed to being creative and critical. Our philosophy is very much underpinned by a focus on persons and personhood. And in that context, we mix both cognitive and creative practices in terms of how we educate students and how we connect with each other in groups. So for example, in our values development, we use a lot of creativity to help us think differently about how we view the world and how we wanted to transform the experience of being a member of the Sydney Nursing School community. We strive to be respectful and to be trustworthy. Trustworthiness is a really important value, particularly with our students, to demonstrate to them that we can be relied upon and that we will have their best interest at heart. I regularly engage with our students in honest conversations to get feedback from them about what it is like to be at Sydney Nursing School and to be a student here and how we can continuously improve. And I'm very honest about where we are strong and where we need to be weak. And I use creative methods with those encounters to help our students be honest as well and to be able to share openly about their experience. We are also collaborative and inclusive, and in that context, we are committed to working together to achieve goals. Sydney Nursing School is in a very large faculty of medicine and health, and in that faculty we have amazing resources to be able to collaborate and to do good work. And that is something we are really committed to doing and will do so. And lastly, our practice is about being ethical, that we will always strive to work in respectful ways that do demonstrate that we respect each other as persons and what we are about. So I hope this gives you a sense of the kind of culture that I am leading here at Sydney Nursing School, and that there is a structure that we have developed centered around these values. That means we are working in a more shared governance and distributive form of leadership. So it's not just about the head of school and dean owning all of this vision and these values and these commitments, but about the whole of the school community committed to engaging in these values, these commitments, and achieving this vision. But of course, that has to translate into tangible action. And in that context, we have, again, not unusual within the world of higher education and in the world of universities, that we have turned those into action plans that are probably recognizable to most people in this audience in relation to kind of culture, education, provision, the kind of research we want to have, our globalization and our student experience. But I hope what you can see from the image that is our action plan, that we have presented it as a mandala. A mandala is a way that traditional communities, indigenous communities, use to organize knowledge, and they are a holistic symbol showing the connections and interconnections between the parts. And that is a really important principle for us, because whilst we have these 5 areas of activity and we have a senior leader responsible for each one of these activities, we call portfolios, we don't see them as separate to each other. They are all interconnected. And it is the interconnection of them that enables us to achieve our vision and do that through our action plan, which we work on collectively. So just to give you a sense of each of these 5 areas and what we are doing in order to achieve this vision. Firstly, focusing on our work and culture, and this is really a program of work that is focusing on developing the culture within the school. How do we develop a flourishing community? How do we pay attention to our ways of knowing, being, doing, and becoming in order to be co-learners and in order to be the best that we can be? As I said, we have developed a very overt anti-racist stance in all aspects of our work, and we are living that value very actively with the way that we engage, the way we are reviewing our curricula, and the way that we are thinking about the kind of future that we want to create through the school. We have set up a model of shared accountability through our shared governance processes, which means we have a layer of accountability moving its way through the school in all parts of our activity. We have established a very strong mentorship program and leadership development program within the school at all levels of academic progression to ensure that all of our team members and our colleagues are being given active support and mentorship and facilitation in helping them to grow their careers and to be effective in what they do. And this is a really important part of our culture that enables everyone to feel that they belong and that they have a future here and can grow and develop. We are also progressing through something called Athena Swan, which is a program of work on leadership. It was originally focused on women in leadership in STEM subjects, but is now opened up to be a way of accrediting a culture that is inclusive. And we are actively working on gaining accreditation to be seen as an inclusive department within the university. In terms of education excellence, here, of course, we are striving for contemporary and innovative curricula, and very excitingly, working with our anti-racist stance, we are in the middle of developing a new theoretical framework that integrates Indigenous ways of knowing with Western ways of knowing. And that new theoretical framework will underpin the redevelopment of our curricula, which is commencing in January 2024. And I'm very excited about the potential of that in really demonstrating that we are inclusive, we are anti-racist, and that we involve everyone in what we're doing. We are doing a lot of work to develop our pathways of learning and to show that there is consistency and continuity across our programs and to advance our clinical simulation work so that people are working with the best technology possible for their learning. In terms of research impact, we are investing heavily in our research programs and ensuring that we are really doing the kind of work that is addressing global goals and global health agendas and that is having an impact on that. We have some very high profile and senior academics in our school who are members of the United Nations work, who are part of WHO activity, and who are making a real impact in those areas of work around public health, around aged care, dementia care, and vaccination programs, for example. But we are really focused on increasing our impact and doing that through new and innovative appointments that positions us more strongly, that really helps to advance our early and mid-career researchers to make sure that they are connected and networked and that they have opportunities to grow their impact. And in the process of developing specialized research teams, which I will return to a little bit later. We have recently appointed a director of international programs who is specifically targeted with addressing our global connections. And again, what we are doing here is really trying to grow our partnerships, grow the network that we have, ensure that our communities that we are connecting with are focused on advancing health programs globally and really being an interdisciplinary community in that space so that all our work has health impact and not just impact within nursing. And finally, in terms of student experience, of course, is the most critical part of our work and ensuring that our students have a good experience and that they do see themselves as global citizens as they graduate from our programs. And we are doing a lot of work to enhance their support structures, to ensure that our higher degree students are connected into a variety of international networks, and that we are constantly seeking feedback from our students. Part of our rationale for growing our international partners is that our students get more opportunity for overseas placements, for overseas experiences, for networks that they can grow and develop and nurture as their career grows as well, which is a very exciting part of the work that we are engaged in. So I did mention that we are growing some very specific themes in research. Sydney Nursing School is highly ranked as a research institution, but what I've been trying to do since I came here is to really narrow that down to a core set of themes. And these are our core set of themes, and in many ways, they all coalesce around the human factors and patient safety as our kind of central theme, where we are able to bring together person-centered care and patient safety into the one space, but then supported through our work in nutrition and food science, in our work on altered health and well-being states, in our work in disability and aged care, and in chronic and complex care. So this is very much front and center to our research program as we move forward. And again, we are really excited because it actually brings together both our research, but also the education that we are providing so that it all will be truly integrated. So to conclude, I hope you can see that Sydney Nursing School is very much focused on global citizenship, on ensuring that our students are positioned to be global citizens promoting health and well-being, and that our research is also contributing to that agenda. However, we are the kind of school that are committed to learning and to constantly learning about our effectiveness in this space. And to that effect, we are really experimenting with many different methods and processes that in the future we think will have an impact. And I hope that one day I will be able to come back to such a conference again and let you know about the impacts that it has had. And it would be a privilege and a joy to do so. Thank you for having me, and I wish you well with the rest of the conference.
내용들을 말씀해 주셨습니다. 자, 그 부분에 관한 연자본 강의를 듣고 이제 Q&A 시간을 가지도록 하겠습니다. 원래는 브랜든 레코메 교수님이 참석하시기로 하셨는데 급한 개인 일정으로 인해서 불가피하게 참여를 못하셔서 브랜든 레코메 교수님에게 질문이 있으신 분들은 개인 메일로 질문을 하시면 성실히 답을 해주신다고 방금 연락이 왔고요. 그러면 정상준 박사님은 온라인으로 참석해 계신데요. 전상준 박사님 안녕하십니까? 네. 전상준 박사님께 강의를 들으시고 질문하실 내용이 있으신 분은 온라인은 채팅창으로, 현장에서는 손을 들어 이제 표기를 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 먼저 온라인에서 신민서 교수님께서 이제 질문을 주셨는데요. 웨어러블 디바이스 활용 연구를 계획하고 계시는데 에피그래피 외에 비상자 건강 연구에 적용 가능한 웨어러블 디바이스 활용 경험이 있으신지 질문을 주셨습니다. 타이핑으로 답을 주시고 계십니다. 음소거가 해제가 안 된 것 같은데 좀 봐주시겠어요? CC가 온라인으로 하다 보니까 약간 오류가 있네요.
들리시나요?
네, 교수님. 박사님 잘 들립니다. 말씀하시면 되겠습니다.
네. 웨어러블 디바이스 지금 액티비티 같은 경우 이 디바이스 같은 경우는 슬립 리서치를 위해서 개발된 경우고요. 그 위에도 보면 다이어리 같은 경우에는 컨티뉴스 글루코스 모니터링이라고 해서 실제 부착을 하고 실시간으로 글루코스 레벨을 측정하는 그런 디바이스도 있고요. 그리고 그 외에 뭐 코어 템퍼레처 같은 경우는 좀 잘 아직까지 쓰지 않는 것 같은데 이제 그 몸 안으로 쏘라를 해가지고 몸 안에서의 코어 실제 그 코어 템퍼레처 몸 안에 템퍼레처 되는 그런 디바이스가 있습니다. 제가 하는 경우는 지금은 액티비티에 관한 건데 이 디바이스 같은 경우는 약간 주의해야 할 것이 디바이스의 차이는 없는데 프로그래밍을 해서 실제 슬립 타임이나 슬립 아웃컴을 계산해야 됩니다. 근데 그 소프트웨어에 따라서 그 자체 의사들이 알고리즘을 다르게 가지고 있기 때문에 리서치를 하실 때는 한 가지 알고리즘을 해서 계속 그러니까 한 개의 알고리즘을 가진 같은 디바이스에 계속 하셔야 consistent한 결과를 내실 수 있고요. 그런 점이 필요하고 그 외에도 지금 뭐 너무나 많은 디바이스들이 개발 중이어서 뭐 어떤 경우는 통증을 측정한다든지 어떤 경우는 임산부의 그 호흡을 측정을 해가지고 그 통증 계산한다든지 뭐 이런 것들을 되게 많이 가지고 있긴 합니다. 답변이 됐으려고 보겠는데 답변이 되셨나요?
네, 네, 답변 감사드립니다. 혹시 다른 플로어에서 질문 있으신 분, 네, 저기 한 분 계시죠? 마이크 부탁드리겠습니다. 오늘 저좀 이쪽 쪽에서 질문 있잖아요.
우선 좋은 내용의 강의 잘 들었습니다. 저는 대전대학교 석사과정의 구미선이라고 합니다. 지금 저처럼 여학생들도 강의를 많이 듣고 있는 걸로 알고 있습니다. 초보자들도 이제 롱지튜디나 애널라이시스에 활용할 수 있는 통계 방법을 몇 가지 좀 추천해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
네, 롱지튜디널 스타디는 사실은 그 모델링이라기보다는 3D 디자인인데 문제는 이제 그 측정치를 연속해서 반복해서 측정치를 받기 때문에 그런 거기에 대한 특별한 모델들이 필요하거든요. 가장 중요한 거는 그 측정치들이 한 인디비주얼에서 반복적으로 측정하기 때문에 그 반복적 측정 사이의 콜리션을 잡아주는 게 중요합니다. 그래서 모델이 여러 가지 있는데 가장 커먼하게 쓰고 심플하게 쓰는 거는 지금 랜덤 이펙트 모델이라고 랜덤 인터셉트 모델이라고 해서 그게 인디비주얼 안에서 그 인디비주얼 사이에서 어떻게 변하는지를 보는 그 모델이 있거든요. 그게 가장 많이 쓰는 것이고 뭐 들어보셨을지 모르겠지만 제너럴 이퀘이션 모델을 해가지고 그 같은 경우도 아웃컴이 컨티뉴스 아닐 때 쓰긴 하거든요. 근데 중요한 거는 그 디자인을 할 때 그냥 하는 것보다는 아마 컨설팅을 좀 받는 게 좋을 것 같아요. 즉, 한 에피소드를 말씀드리면 최근에 하이퍼글라시미아하고 엑서사이즈에 대한 관계를 보기 위해서 한 달 동안 롱지튜디널 스터디를 했어요. 한 달 동안 매일 엑서사이즈를 측정을 하고 글루코스를 측정을 해서 롱지튜디널 모델을 돌려서 가져왔는데 되게 스트롱한 콜리션을 보여줬어요. 그래서 엑서사이즈를 되게 많이 하는 경우 글루코스 컨트롤이 되게 잘 돼서 그 리서처가 쓰려고 하는 게 그 엑서사이즈를 좋게 그러니까 계속 임프루브 하면 글루코스 컨트롤도 할 수 있다고 결론을 지으려고 했는데 다시 돌려봤거든요. 다시 돌려봤는데 그 문제가 뭐였냐 하면은 그게 문제가 뭐냐면 엑서사이즈를 되게 많이 하는 사람 그러니까 한 달 동안 임프루브 하는 게 중요한 게 아니고 그 사람은 그 엑서사이즈 패턴 많이 하는 사람이 글루코스 컨트롤이 잘 된 거였어요. 근데 그거를 롱지튜디널 모델, 그러니까 인터셉트 모델을 해서 이거를 인디비주얼 안에서 같은 인디비주얼 안에서 변화량이 그 글루코스 컨트롤 변화량을 되는지를 모델을 해보면 모델이 나오지가 않아요. 그러니까
그 사람 캐릭터가 엑서사이즈를 많이 해서 글루코스 컨트롤이 된 거지, 그 한 달 동안 엑서사이즈 변화를 줬기 때문에 글루코스를 된 게 아니었거든요. 그러니까 둘 다 롱듀터럴 모델을 썼긴 하지만 하이퍼시스를 어떻게 하는지, 그래서 스페시픽 모델을 어떻게 하는지가 되게 중요하기 때문에 같은 데이터를 쓰고 같은 모델을 돌려도 아주 다른 결과를 가져올 수 있기 때문에 가능하면 통계를 하신 분들하고 컨설팅 하는 게 걸 추천드리고 싶습니다.
미국의 시차가 클 텐데도 끝까지 참여해 주신 박사님께 감사드립니다. 네, 감사드립니다. 우리가 항상 논문을 쓸 때 통계로 많이 교통을 가르치는데 많이 도움이 되셨기를 바랍니다. 자, 그러면은 이제 오늘 오후 세션을 종료하고 이제 점심시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 조금 빨리 좀 시간을 충분히 드리도록 하는 건데요. 식사하신 후에는 오후 세션은 1시부터 진행될 예정으로 있고요. 현장 등록하신 분들은 등록시 제공받으신 쿠폰을 가지고 동강으로 지하의 풀코트를 이용하시면 되겠습니다. 네, 포스터 세션은 교수님 앞에 전자 디스플레이로 계속 전시되고 있습니다. 자유롭게 둘러보시고 스피커 분들과도 교류의 시간을 볼 수 있도록 전시되고 점심시간이 1시가 아니라 1시 반부터라고. 1시 반까지 식사와 포스터 세션을 이제 열심히 관람하시면 되겠습니다. 그럼 오후 시간 때 뵙도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.